Hello, my name is JB. I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and today I'm going to talk about how I started smoking cigars. So, I grew up in North Carolina, which is a tobacco state, but there they grow tobacco that's used for cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes the first time when I was really young. Um, I'm not exactly sure, but I would say probably 11, 12, somewhere in there. I remember we smoked cigarettes in this area that they called the cross country trail. It was basically a big field with some trails in it that the cross country team from the high school, Sun Valley, used to practice. They would run all afternoon circles on these trails, and but we would go back there because there was a wooded area and we could have a little privacy, and our parents or any other adults wouldn't see us. And some of the older kids would have cigarettes and they would give it to us, and we'd smoke cigarettes. And I never liked it, but I did it because everybody else was doing it. And I just didn't like the taste of it. I didn't think it was all that interesting. Didn't do much for me. But and you had to the cigarette you breathe it all the way in. But I started smoking cigars, like I said, 14 or 15, and the reason was because uh, people wanted, um, different friends wanted to smoke cigarettes, but cigarettes were harder to get for us unless we knew somebody who was older or just somebody who had access to them, who they could get them from their parents or some other person. Um, but it was much easier to get cigars, and the reason is because back then in the food lines and the Harris Teeters, they had tobacco products on the regular aisle. Now they have them in a certain area. They have all tobacco products in a certain area, and they're in these cabinets with glass or plastic. Um, and you have to have a key to get in there, and only certain people are allowed to go in there that work there to sell them. And it was just hard to get. But back then, they had like the tobacco that you use to put in a pipe, the tobacco that you use to roll your own cigarettes, and cigars. They had that on the regular aisle, just like they have cereal or anything else that you buy in a grocery store. And the reason they had that is because I think is because like older men who's basically were the only people who used those products, they could get to them easier, and because they could reach them, and they didn't have to wait in line and talk to somebody. So I mean, even the cigarettes, they had them right where they sell, like at the cash register, where they have the drink coolers with the Pepsi in it, and then they have all the candy, the Kit Kat bar, the Hershey bar, the gum, the all the stuff, Tic Tacs. They had them right there in that area where anybody could reach them, and people did. I mean, I knew kids who helped themselves, but it was a little bit more risky because there was more workers in that area. But on the aisle, you could just walk off and just help yourself, and nobody would ever know. Because I mean, I think there were cameras back then, but not that many, not like now. And there wasn't any real security other than the people working there. But but I would just go to stores. I would help myself to cigars, and then I would usually buy something like a Dr. Pepper, just so I wouldn't look suspicious, and then I would leave. And the thing about cigars is that they're strong. You know, they smell strong. I don't know that because I have no sense of smell, but everybody who's ever been around me after I smoke one has told me that. And but I would smoke them, and the thing I liked about them is that you don't have to breathe. You don't have to breathe them all the way in. You just bring the smoke back here and then let it out. And I can sort of I don't have a very good sense of taste either, but I can sort of taste the cigar, um, and it just makes me feel better. You know, it makes me feel good. It gives me like a little boost of energy, and I tried to smoke them with people my age from that time, and they always like they didn't know how to smoke a cigar sometimes, and so they would breathe them all the way in, and then they would get sick, or their head would start spinning, you know, um, or it was just too strong. The smell was too strong for them. I remember one time I went to a store, Harris Teeter, in South Charlotte, Pineville area, and I helped myself to some cigars, and then my dad picked me up from a library that was nearby. And when I got in his truck, we started talking, and everything was fine. And he said, "What the hell is that smell? You have cigars in your pocket." I said, "Oh, I don't have cigars." And of course, I had cigars. And he said, "Let me see." And so I showed him the cigars. He's like, "Yeah, I knew you had cigars." And like the cigars, they were in a box, and they were individually wrapped, and they were the box was wrapped in plastic, but he still smelled them. Um, and I hadn't smoked any that day, I don't think. And but he could smell them, and he has a really strong sense of smell, stronger than anybody else I know. But he definitely knew. So it was hard to conceal that from him because of his sense of smell. But as an adult, well, throughout high school, I smoked them, and if I smoked them before school, that would usually be a problem because the teachers and a lot of people in the class would notice it. Some people would say something. Uh, hey, what's that smell? Why do you smell like cigars? That kind of thing. And I never got in trouble for it at school. Nobody ever suspended me or found me with cigars. But people knew that I was smoking cigars. And I started smoking them really heavily, I think, as time went on during high school. And then as an adult, I've smoked them, not nonstop, but uh, very regularly my whole adult life. So from the time I was 14 to the time of now, I'm 38. That's 24 years. That's more than half of my life. A lot more than half of my life. And I can go a few days without smoking, but only if I have to. Like when I was in a hospital last year, 2022, I didn't have a choice. There was no way to get cigars. I didn't bring any with me. They won't let you smoke at the hospital. So I was pretty miserable. But, I mean, I had a nicotine patch, and plus, I just wasn't feeling well, so I didn't really need to smoke. I didn't really want to smoke that much. But I would have rather been smoking, and just because of the habit, doing it over and over and over, you get used to doing it, and it's like becomes natural part of what you do. But I now I smoke cigars from Nicaragua, from Honduras, from Dominican Republic. Every once in a while, Cuban cigars, but I don't think Cuban cigars are anything special. They're just cigars from Cuba, if you ask me. I don't really understand why people get so excited about Cuban cigars, other than the fact that you used not to be able to get them, and so anytime you can't get something, people want it just because you can't get it, I guess. But I don't get excited about paying a lot of money for just tobacco. The, you know, I don't see the big difference between a Cuban cigar and a cigar from the Dominican Republic or Honduras or Nicaragua or any place else. But these days, it's getting a lot harder to find cigars. Um, there aren't that many stores that sell them, and the ones that do sell cigars that people use to roll marijuana blunts. I mean, they don't sell like quality cigars that are made for smoking. And I always get mine from two different companies. One's JR Cigars, and the other is Thompson. And so I have my cigars mailed to me. They come from those countries, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Dominican Republic, and they go to the warehouse of those companies, and then they mail them to me. It used to be pretty cheap, but not so much anymore. I liked when there were a lot more cigar stores that specialize in cigars with humidors. There are some still, but um, not that many. And their selection isn't that good, especially for people who smoke a lot, smoke every day. Um, their cigars are normally higher priced cigars that are for special occasions, like New Year's or a birthday or a holiday, something like that, where you smoke one cigar, you pay $10, $20, whatever. But I smoke several cigars a day, so I can't afford to pay $20 a cigar. So I have to get a bundle with 20 cigars in it, and that'll last me. It depends, but a few days, 5 days maybe a week if I'm lucky. But yeah, I am very much used to smoking cigars because I've been doing it so long now. But it's a good idea for me to stop, right? Because at some point, even though you don't breathe cigars all the way in, it's gonna start affecting my breathing, my lungs. Um, it's gonna cause me other problems. Hasn't yet, but it will eventually if I do it long enough. And I don't know. A few years ago, 2018 to 2000, the very first part of 2020, I was running a lot of races like 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks, and half marathon. And before the half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, I was smoking cigars and drinking Dr. Pepper. While these other little skinny people, they were like, um, you know, uh, just getting ready to run, stretching and um, jogging a little bit and stuff like that. And they looked at me. They're like, "Oh my God, this guy!" And then after the race, after the 13.1 miles, I smoked another cigar, like right after I passed the finish line. And I mean, I didn't go very fast in any of those races that I ran, but I was very steady, and I didn't have to stop. I didn't have breathing problems or anything. I went at a good pace that I was comfortable with. But if you're like a person who's really concerned about your health and want to perform at your peak, then probably shouldn't be smoking cigars. Michael Jordan, he used to smoke cigars before practice and before games, and then after games and after practice, and all the other times that he wasn't playing basketball. But Michael Jordan is a little bit different. He's an athlete who was at at a very high level and very physically fit, and had a lot of durability, stamina. But he made up for it, I think, by how much he worked out. But I don't know why I smoke cigars, because other than what I explained about them being so accessible at the grocery stores, because I had a grandfather, my mom's dad. He smoked cigars for a little bit when he was younger, and then he quit when my mom was little, and my aunt when they were little, because he just didn't want the whole house to smell like cigars all the time. And my dad's father, he smoked cigarettes a lot. I don't think he ever smoked cigars. If he did, he never told me about it. But he only smoked cigarettes as far as I knew. And only one other person in my family that I know of smoked cigars. Nobody else. So I don't know how I decided that would be a good idea, but I did. And I don't know. Now it's just like something to do. Because when I'm bored or I'm just thinking about something, I just smoke a cigar. But that's how I started smoking cigars.